If you came home to find your husband and your supposed buddy entangled in your bed, how would you respond? Considering that Yandy Smith just did precisely that. And I really do mean it when I tell you that Atlanta has officially gone insane, sweetheart. Hip-hop and love are no longer the same thing. This is handcuffs and love. Yandy did more than merely catch Mendy falling, based on the most recent pandemonium sweeping social media. She once called Ashley sis, and she discovered him dozing next to her. Moreover, let's just state that the minute Yandy opened the door to that bedroom, hell itself started working overtime. Was this karma catching up with a man who believed he could outsmart the internet? Or was it a setup or trap? Neighbors were yelling, phones were ringing, and the harm was already done before the police arrived. Yandy's marriage fell apart. Ashley's image was destroyed. Mendy notices. To put it mildly, he may require more than just a public relations staff to get through this one. Stay put, because the video, the comments, and the consequences will cause you to reevaluate all of your preconceived notions about fame, loyalty, and treachery. It began as a typical peaceful night in Atlanta, but ended like a scene cut from a Tyler Perry movie on steroids. For it seems that Yandy Smith's business was being conducted in her own bed while she was out on the town. Let's just say that peace left the building quicker than a love and hip-hop reunion brawl when she entered and spotted Mendeecees and Ashley wrapped up like a Netflix and betrayal combo pack. Now, let's set the scene before we even get into the problem. You possess Yandy is a reality TV tycoon, the queen of poise, and a lady who has built her empire on hard work, loyalty, and supporting her partner no matter what. Mendy then visits the rehabilitated spouse, who has a history of poor choices and slick apologies. You have the kind of love triangle that would make even Zeus say, "Nah, this is too messy for me," but it seems like that's precisely what happened when you add Ashley, Yandy's stylist, close friend, and sometimes shoulder to weep on. According to sources, Yandy had been experiencing strange feelings for weeks. Late-night phone conversations, brief strange justifications and texts. The playlist isn't what it looks like, you know? However, it was precisely what it appeared to be this time, because Yandy realized something wasn't right when she arrived home early that fateful night after ending a late meeting. The home was silent, the lights were lowered, and Mendy's phone, which is typically glued to his hand, was on the counter, face down. Her first warning sign was that. The second was her dog scratching at the bedroom door, who doesn't bark until something is seriously off. It tried to alert her. The third is a woman's chuckle from her bedroom, a muffled sound that no wife ever wants to hear. Yandy stopped, his mind racing, hands shaking, and heart thumping. She reasoned that she might be seeing hallucinations due to the TV or possibly a phone on speaker. However, she heard Ashley's laugh after hearing Mendy's familiar low voice. That was it. Sources close to Yandy claim that she kicked that door open like a warranted movie cop. And the next thing she saw, straight disorder. They were there. The worst narrative shock in the world occurs when Mendy discovers Ashley entangled beneath Yandy's fancy linens. According to witnesses, Yandy froze for a brief moment, allowing her brain to process the betrayal. Then all of her well-known poise was gone, replaced by a rage that made even Mendy seem as though his life had flashed before his eyes. She did not immediately shout. She just stared, one purported insider told an Atlanta gossip page. When she finally spoke, she called out everything: the late nights, the lies, the fake girl nights when Ashley pretended to be at home watching Netflix, but was actually texting Mendeecees under codenames like Terry from accounting, and the ensuing chaos was nothing short of chaotic. Ashley attempted to get out of bed and stammered something about it not being what it looked like, which is, incidentally, the universal phrase for exactly what it looked like. Additionally, Mendeecees attempted to play. Since this is Atlanta, where every scandal is public knowledge, the peacemaker fumbled for his shorts and said, "Yandy, baby, let me explain." But there was no way to explain why Yandy had gone from heartbroken to volcanic. Neighbors later claimed to have heard shouting and crashing, and at one point, Yandy was yelling in my bed, "You disrespectful clown!" Phones came out, cameras started rolling, and within minutes, social media was buzzing. One clip purportedly taken by a neighbor across the street showed flashing lights from Yandy's mansion windows and what sounded like a full-on confrontation. Comments exploded quickly. No, Yandy caught them red-handed. The footage was grainy, but one thing was obvious. Yandy wasn't holding back. According to insiders, she threw Ashley's clothes out the window, screaming for her to find another bed to betray someone in. But it gets even wilder. Allegedly, Yandy had been testing Mendeecees' senses for weeks. She had hired a private investigator, looked through his phone logs, and even planted caught in 4K began trending on Twitter. And when that trap snapped shut, it did so with receipts, screenshots, and even Ring camera footage showing Ashley arriving hours before Yandy came home. The internet went crazy, and subtle traps like asking Ashley to check in on Mendy while she was away, just to see what they do, apparently failed every test. She already knew. Another insider said that night wasn't an accident, and it was the setup to end all setups. The image was handcuffed and captioned, "Locked up in Yandy's bed." This time, it wasn't the feds, but the gravity of what transpired was evident despite the memes. Because this was humiliation, not just infidelity. Untidy public humiliation that goes viral. And rumors that someone had contacted the police started to spread as the night wore on. Neighbors were afraid it would get physical. Not because of the fight, but because things became so hot. Yandy was allegedly pacing and yelling outdoors when the police came. Ashley sobbed while sitting on the curb, covered in a blanket. Mendy can't find anything. According to some, he fled by the back door. He was hiding in the bathroom, according to others. In any case, the tale had already taken on a life of its own by the time the officers arrived. However, this was only the beginning, as what began as a private betrayal turned into a full-fledged media circus by dawn. And everyone was curious about how deep this went, from mainstream outlets to gossip bloggers. And oh no, Yandy was just getting started if you thought she was finished. Silence didn't even have a chance to exist as Yandy banged the bedroom door open. Screams rang out, sheets flew, and Mendy, who had always presented himself as a man of integrity, appeared to have been caught stealing food from the refrigerator at Em and Ashley's. She clutched that silk blanket as if it were her final line of defense, and she froze like a deer in headlights. Mendy sees Yandy screaming in my bed, her voice trembling the walls and most likely the Wi-Fi signal as well. This is where things get messy, since Ashley really laughed rather than expressing regret, or at the very least seeming surprised. Yes, she grinned. "What are you going to do now, you terrible little thing?" A smile that could spark conflict. The whole issue changed from a private betrayal to a public humiliation in that instant. A cunning neighbor quickly began streaming the chaos on Instagram Live, giving it a live audience. Before Yandy could even comment, the video had already received 1 million views. Take her slippers. Additionally, you can be sure that the internet detectives arrived in full force. Another remark read, "Ashley's not scared. She's plotting the sequel." But here's the thing. This wasn't random. Nope. Another stated, many see it as not just cheating. He's auditioning for a new show, Love and Hip Hop, Sleeping with the Ops. She was allegedly helping Mendy with his business for months, but that business looked a lot like candlelit dinners. Secret texts and deleted messages. Yandy's assistant, who will call Tina to protect her job, told reporters that Yandy had been suspicious for weeks. She kept saying something didn't feel right, Tina said. But Mendy always gaslighted her and told her she was being dramatic, which, spoiler alert, she wasn't. Then came the text messages. Social media messages were inundated with leaked screenshots purportedly showing Mendy texting Ashley at M with phrases such as, "You make me feel alive again. You don't have to hide who you are with me." Ashley retorted, sounding like, "Pardon me. Who are you hiding from?" "From the woman who first identified you." Yandy's fans went full FBI mode. Within hours, people started posting side-by-side photos of Ashley's bracelets. comparing them to the same ones seen on Mendy's Instagram story just a week ago. The caption, "Out with the friends." The homies apparently included Ashley. And if that wasn't enough, Yandy's inner circle decided it was time to step in. Her best friend Erica reportedly pulled up to the house within minutes, armed with nothing but rage and a camera. "We're going viral today," she allegedly said prior to storming inside to back Yandy out. The house resembled the aftermath of a reality TV reunion special by the time the police arrived. Yes, someone had called the police. Wigs thrown, lamps damaged, and a champagne bottle broke all over the floor. Mendeecees was attempting to reassure Yandy that everything was just miscommunication. But let's face it, when you're caught red-handed under designer linens, there's no miscommunication. To halt the ranting, the police had to separate them. While viewers were still processing what they saw in that famous live stream, stories began to spread more quickly than wildfire. Neighbors reported hearing things like, "I gave you everything, and you gave me headaches." So yeah, it was chaos. A few asserted that Ashley was filming the entire event for influence. According to others, she intended to sell her story for 6 figures to a gossip magazine. Yandy went offline in the meanwhile. Nothing, no stories, no posts. Nothing but quiet. Do you know what it means to be silent in the world of celebrities? Not even a day later. An audio file titled "The Real Tape Yandy's Retaliation" was published by an unknown account, indicating that something significant was about to happen. Ashley was purportedly seen in the video sobbing and pleading for fans erupted in rage when Yandy informed her, "You chose the wrong house to play in." It was referred to as bogus by some. Some people insisted it was real. In any case, the internet had already chosen a side, so it made no difference. Team Yandy became popular. Online, celebrities like Cardi B and Remy Ma even made veiled jabs. "If I ever see someone leave in an ambulance," Cardi wrote on social media, "respect yourself enough to never quarrel over what's trash already." Here, however, the narrative shifts from chaotic to career-ending. Rumor had it that a Love and Hip Hop production insider had released an email indicating that the network was thinking of removing Mendy from the show completely. "His image has become too toxic for brand partnerships. Ouch," the executive allegedly wrote. And for Ashley, her direct messages seemingly exploded with hate, with thousands of people calling her the side chick who snuck into the empire. Sponsors pulled out. The internet saw the receipts, and Mendy tried to save face by going live looking like a man who hadn't slept in 3 days and saying, "Please respect our family. Yandy and I are working through private matters." Her PR manager quit, and she even had to lock her comments because people were spamming homewrecker under every post. When Mendeecees was busy repairing the damage, Yandy was meeting in private with her legal team, and according to insiders, is preparing to file for divorce and a restraining order. That's when things went awry. And by the next morning, the internet was in flames, with memes, think pieces, and hashtags all focusing on the word betrayal. Yandy Dear Vibiter was trending #1 across the country. The Shade Room shared a picture of Yandy entering a courtroom with the tagline, "When you turn heartbreak into strategy." TMZ termed it the most explosive love and hip-hop controversy of the decade. It was picked up by gossip blogs, publications, and even late-night talk shows. Mendy, meanwhile, was nowhere to be seen. There are speculations that he is hiding out in a friend's condo in Jersey, but there are no posts or announcements. What happened next, though? No one anticipated it. Yandy wasn't only divorcing. According to unnamed legal sources, the same people who revealed half of Hollywood's scandals. Allegedly, she was getting ready to sue Ashley for mental distress and using private property without permission. Why? Ashley was caught in a bed that wasn't just any bed, it turns out. It was part of Yandy's house brand sponsorship arrangement, custom-made, and valued at $15,000. In other words, Ashley technically engaged in brand sabotage. Crazy, huh? But hold on, it gets weirder. Screenshots of an alleged text exchange between Ashley and her best friend began to circulate. Yes, there was more than just infidelity. One message said, "Girl, he told me Yandy doesn't make him feel alive anymore." I'm what he needs. Another added, if she finds out, I'll make sure I go viral. Might as well get something out of this. This was a calculated attempt to gain influence. Known sentiment became ferocious after that was made known. Even those who Ashley was called, misunderstood, and now wanted to be canceled. She sought fame, but instead she got infamy. A fan tweeted. However, Yandy made her first public appearance as the online tempest was building. She made a declaration on Instagram. Loyalty is rare. Betrayal is expensive. I'm collecting my debt was written on a black background with white writing. In just 12 hours, that post received over 3 million likes. The comments were inundated by celebrities. Taraji P. Candy Boris commented, "Stay classy, sis. Karma's on the way." Henson wrote, "Say it louder for the ones in the back." Mendy attempted damage control once more by releasing a clumsy video that said, "Y'all don't know the whole story, but the internet hates half-truths." Within minutes, users began bombarding his comments with screenshots of him and Ashley together and clown emojis. Then the security footage was leaked. A blurry video was leaked by an unidentified source who was purportedly a neighbor, demonstrating how Ashley used what appeared to be a suspicious Mendeecees spare key to sneak into Yandy's house earlier that evening. The video went viral on the internet with the caption "plot twist." It wasn't a mistake, it was a setup. It was being covered by news anchors as if it were a presidential scandal. An expert in body language was even hired by one network to examine Mendeecees' response. Their decision. His body conveys panic, embarrassment, and remorse. Classic indicators that a man has been caught in the act. Yandy had formally filed the documents by now. Boom. Property claim, restraining order, and divorce. In addition, she published her first and only interview since the affair, which was a heated new one. Yandy.com, but Icy responded, "I realized I'd been sleeping next to a stranger. And that stranger invited another woman into my piece. That's when I decided no more." That quote alone went viral. Angela sat down with Angeli and asked her directly, "What went through your mind when you saw them?" Merchandise. Memes. Merchandise. Memes. Yandy's line was being quoted like scripture everywhere you looked thanks to TikTok tweaks. That interview's conclusion, however, was the true stunner. Yandy made a shocking revelation. Another lady had sent her screenshots claiming that Mendeecees had also been contacting her. Ashley wasn't the only one then. Cue complete collapse. The internet went crazy. When Mendeecees saw the community husband, fans began phoning him. Even a many loyalty tee that had his face altered on it sold out in a matter of hours. Fearing negative publicity, hip-hop and love producers took quick action. According to reports, they offered Yandy her own spin-off series, working title Rebuild, Life After Betrayal, and stopped Mendeecees' season indefinitely. And what do you know? Yes, she replied. Because fans were going crazy, Ashley was losing followers, and Mendeecees was losing agreements. Yandy was getting brand deals, giving empowering speeches, and getting new sponsorships. Her name became a household name, with courage and dignity. One final twist followed. "I made a mistake. You're my home, my family. I'll do anything to make it right." Mendy allegedly said in a voice note that was leaked. A private message from Mendy to Yandy. Yandy allegedly responded, "You should have thought about that before you brought the mess into my house." Mic drop. The video received over 20 million views in a single day. Supporters said it is the most recognizable return in the history of reality TV. The drama captivated even those who had never seen the play. Yandy transformed a scandal into an empire by the end of the week. It was said that Mendeecees was receiving therapy. Ashley deleted everything and disappeared from the world. After leaving the city, according to rumors, Yandy uploaded a final cryptic tale, a picture of her bedroom that was meticulously recreated, along with a new description, fresh sheets. New chapter. Fans filled the comments saying, "Queen energy." Without mentioning his name, she cut him off. "We needed a revenge arc like this." Fake love, fake loyalty, and the negative aspects of celebrity were all revealed by the scandal that began in one bed and ultimately rocked an entire industry. Who leaked the initial footage, though, is the true question. From the beginning, who was recording? According to rumors, footage was being fed to the blogs by someone in Yandy's own inner circle in exchange for payment. So perhaps, just possibly, this isn't the end. And that's how Yandy's anguish became Hollywood history. My friends, in one shocking night, let's be honest though, do you really believe that this is it? Because if we've learned anything about Ashley Mendy and Yandy, it's that the drama never goes away. Until the next bombshell is leaked, it simply disappears. Tell me then, who, in your opinion, released that video? Was Yandy herself playing the long game? Or was it a friend or a member of the crew? Leave a comment with your theories, because there is much more to this story. If you think Yandy handled it excellently, make sure to hit the like button. The next development in this chaotic love triangle could potentially blow up the internet once more. So subscribe for more wild celebrity exposés and enable notifications. Keep an eye out. The truth always comes out. Out? Out?